Hare Krishna, dear devotees, Dandavat Pranam to all. So today we are reading from the book The Path of Perfection, which is written by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. So we are continuing with the 7th chapter, Yoga for the Modern Age. Arjuna Uvacha Yomam Yogastvaya Proktaha Samyena Madhusudana Etasyaham Napashyami Chanchalatva Sthitam Sthiram. Arjun said, O Madhusudana, the system of yoga which you have summarized appears impractical and unendurable to me, for the mind is restless and unsteady. Bhagavad Gita 6.33. This is the crucial test of the eightfold Ashtanga Yoga system, expounded herein by Lord Shri Krishna. It has already been explained that one must sit in a certain way and concentrate the mind on the form of Vishnu seated within the heart. According to the Ashtanga Yoga system, first of all, one has to control the senses, follow all the rules and regulations, practice the sitting posture and breathing process, concentrate the mind on the form of Vishnu within the heart, and then become absorbed in that form. There are 8 processes in this Ashtanga Yoga system, but herein Arjun says quite frankly that this Ashtanga Yoga system is very difficult. Indeed, he says that it appears impractical and unendurable to me. Actually, the Ashtanga Yoga system is not impractical. For were it impractical, Lord Krishna would not have taken so much trouble to describe it. It is not impractical, but it appears impractical. What may be impractical for one man may be practical for another. Arjun is a representative of the common man in the sense that he is not a mendicant or a sannyasi or a scholar. He is on the battlefield fighting for his kingdom, and in this sense, he is an ordinary man engaged in worldly activities. He is concerned with earning a livelihood, supporting his family, and so on. Arjun has many problems, just as the common man, and generally, this system of Ashtanga Yoga is impractical for the ordinary common man. That is the point being made. It is practical for one who has already completed renounced everything and can sit in a secluded, sacred place on the side of a hill or in a cave. But who can do this in this age? Although Arjun was a great warrior, a member of royal family, and a very advanced person, he proclaims that this yoga system is impractical. And what are we in comparison to Arjun? If we attempt this system, failure is certain. Therefore, this system of mysticism described by Lord Shri Krishna to Arjun, beginning with the words Sucha Deshe and ending with Yogi Pramaha, is rejected by Arjun out of feeling of inability. As stated before, it is not possible for an ordinary man to leave home and go to a secluded place in mountains or jungles to practice the yoga in this age of Kali. The present age is characterized by a bitter struggle for a life of short duration. As Kali Yuga progresses, our lifespans get shorter and shorter. Our forefathers lived for 100 years or more, but now people are dying at age of 60 or 70. Gradually, the lifespan will decrease even further. Memory, mercy, and other good qualities will also decrease in this age. In Kali Yuga, people are not serious about self-realization, even by simple practical means, and what to speak of this difficult yoga system, which regulates the mode of living, the manner of seating, selection of place, and detachment of mind from material engagements. As a practical man, Arjun thought it was impossible to follow this system of yoga, even though he was favorably endowed in many ways. He was not prepared to become a pseudo-yogi and practice some gymnastic feats. He was not a pretender, but a soldier and a family man. Therefore, he frankly admitted that for him, this system of yoga will be a waste of time. Arjun belonged to a royal family and was highly elevated in terms of numerous qualities. He was a great warrior. He had great longevity and, above all, he was most intimate friend of Lord Shri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. 5,000 years ago, when Arjun was living, the lifespan was very long. At that time, people used to live up to 1,000 years. In the present age of Kali Yuga, the lifespan is limited to 100 years. In Dwapar Yuga, the lifespan was 1,000 years. In Treta Yuga, the lifespan was 10,000 years. And in Satya Yuga, the lifespan was 100,000 years. Thus, as the yugas degenerate, the lifespan decreases. Even though Arjun lived at a time where one would live and practice meditation for 1,000 years, he still considered this system impossible. 5,000 years ago, Arjun had much better facilities than we do now, yet he refused to accept this system of yoga. In fact, we do not find any record in history of his practicing it at any time. Therefore, this system must be considered generally impossible in this age of Kali. Of course, it may be possible for some very few rare men, but for the people in general, it is an impossible proposal. If this were so 5000 years ago, what of the present day? Those who are imitating this yoga system in different so called schools and societies, although complacent, are certainly wasting their time. They are completely ignorant of their desired goal. Since this Ashtanga Yoga system is considered impossible, the Bhakti Yoga system is recommended for everyone. Without training or education, one can automatically participate in Bhakti Yoga. Even a small child can clap at Kirtan. Therefore, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has proclaimed Bhakti Yoga to be only practical for this age. Harer Nama, Harer Nama, Harer Nama eva kevalam, Kalau nastaiva, nastaiva, nastaiva gatiranyatha. Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Leela 17.21. In the age of quarrel and hypocrisy, the only means of deliverance is chanting the holy name of the Lord. There is no other way, there is no other way, there is no other way. Chanting is very simple, and one will feel the results immediately. Pratyakshaavagamam dharyam. If we attempt to practice other yoga systems, we will remain in darkness. We will not know whether or not we are making progress. In Bhakti Yoga, one can understand, yes, now I am making progress. This is the only yoga system by which one can quickly attain self-realization and liberation in this life. One does not have to wait for another lifetime. Chanchalam hi manah Krishna pramathi balavadridam tasyaham nigraham manye vayoreva sudushkaram. For the mind is restless, turbulent, obstinate and very strong, O Krishna, and to subdue it seems to me more difficult than controlling the wind. Bhagavad Gita 6.34. By chanting Hare Krishna, one captures the mind immediately. Just by saying the name Krishna and hearing it, the mind is automatically fixed on Krishna. This means that the yoga system is immediately attained. The entire yoga system aims at concentration on the form of Vishnu, and Krishna is the original personality from whom all these Vishnu forms are expanded. Krishna is like the original candle from which all other candles are lit. If one candle is lit, one can light any number of candles, and there is no doubt that each candle is as powerful as the original candle. Nonetheless, one has to recognize the original candle as the original. Similarly, from Krishna, millions of Vishnu forms expand, and each Vishnu form is as good as Krishna. But Krishna remains the original. Thus, one who concentrates his mind on Lord Sri Krishna, the original Supreme Personality of Godhead, immediately attains the perfection of yoga. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Asamshayam Mahabaho Manodurnigraham Chalam Abhyasena tu Kaunteya Vairagyena Chakrihyate. The blessed Lord said, O mighty armed son of Kunti, it is undoubtedly very difficult to curb the restless mind, but it is possible by constant practice and detachment. Bhagavad Gita 6.35. Krishna does not say that it is not difficult. Rather, he admits that it is difficult, but possible by means of constant practice. Constant practice means engaging ourselves in some activity that reminds us of Krishna. In this society for Krishna consciousness, we therefore have many activities, kirtan, temple activities, prasad, publications and so on. Everyone is engaged in some activity with Krishna at the center. Therefore, whether one is typing for Krishna, cooking for Krishna, chanting for Krishna or distributing literature for Krishna, he is in the yoga system and he is also in Krishna. We engage in activities just as in material life, but these activities are molded in such a way that they are directly connected with Krishna. Thus, through every activity, Krishna consciousness is possible, and perfection of yoga follows automatically. Asamyatatmana yogo dushprapa iti me matihi vashyatmana tu yatata sakyo vaptum upayata. For one whose mind is unbridled, self-realization is a difficult work. But he whose mind is controlled and who strives by right means is assured of success. That is my opinion. Bhagavad Gita 6.36. the Supreme Personality of Godhead, declares that one who does not accept the proper treatment to detach the mind from material engagement can hardly achieve success in self realization. Trying to practice yoga while engaging the mind in material enjoyment is just like trying to ignite a fire while pouring water on it. Similarly, yoga practice without mental control is a waste of time. I may sit down to meditate and focus my mind on Krishna, and that is very commendable. But there are many yoga societies that teach their students to concentrate on the void or on some color. That is, they do not recommend concentration on the form of Vishnu. Trying to concentrate the mind on the impersonal or void is very difficult and troublesome. It is stated by Sri Krishna in 12th chapter of Bhagavad Gita 12.5, क्लेशोऽधिक तरस्तेषाम् अव्यक्तासक्तचेतसाम् अव्यक्ता हि गतिर्दुःखं देहवद्भिरवाप्यते. For those whose minds are attached to the unmanifested, impersonal feature of the Supreme, advancement is very troublesome. To make progress in that discipline is always very difficult for those who are embodied. In the temple, the devotee tries to concentrate on the form of Krishna. Concentrating on nothingness or void is very difficult, and naturally the mind is very flickering. Therefore, instead of concentrating on the void, the mind searches out something else. The mind must be engaged in thinking of something, and if it is not thinking of Krishna, it must be thinking of Maya. Therefore, pseudo meditation on the impersonal void is simply a waste of time. Such a show of yoga practice may be materially lucrative, but useless as far as spiritual realization is concerned. I may open up a yogic class and charge people money for sitting down and pressing their nose this way and that. But if my students do not attain real yoga, real goal, they have wasted their time and money, and I have cheated them. Therefore, one has to control his mind steadily and constantly on the form of Vishnu, and that is called Samadhi. In Krishna consciousness, the mind is controlled by engaging it constantly in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Unless one is engaged in Krishna consciousness, he cannot steadily control the mind. A Krishna conscious person easily achieves the results of yoga practice without separate endeavor. But a yoga practitioner cannot achieve success without becoming Krishna conscious. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.